Donald, the world of Mank is gorgeous. Jan, it is a world that I want to live in. 1930s, 1940s Hollywood. So, we go black and white. Where do you even begin to create this immaculate, lush black and white world for David Fincher's Mank? Donald?
Well, I think first of all, we started by just, for me, it was my first conversation with David about the project when he said, I want this to really feel like it was a film that was made during that period. And he said, you could be down in a film vault and you could be looking at some films and you would see Citizen Kane, and right next to it would be Mank, and you'd pull it off and go, wow, I never heard of this. And it was made during the same time. And that was sort of our objective. And we started with an immense amount of research, research about Hollywood, research about the studios, research about San Simeon and Hearst Castle, um, just a massive amount of that we had to immerse ourselves in, and trying to step in our thinking and in our approach into the black and white world. And it's kind of how it all started. And I just sort of, in the larger context, always kept that in mind. It always resonated. What David said to me in the beginning was, let's make a film that feels like it was made during that period.
Yeah. And the recreation of Hearst Castle and the San Simeon estate, that clip we just saw, it just oozes like decadence and the extravagance. Jan, talk about the set decorating of that, like the crystal, the candles, the just the richness that you put onto that table.
Well, it was quite a challenge, needless to say. But we knew that we were just aiming for recreating the essence of it because we realized that we could never, be quite as decadent as Mr. Hurst was. But we really tried to match as closely as we could. We did have chairs made that were in the same style, and we found fabric for the chairs that were very, very similar. We had the tabletops made, and we matched the grain. I mean, we got a little. I get a little obsessed, but we matched the grain of the wood of the real tables in San Simeon. Um, and luckily enough, found tapestries large enough that weren't in tatters. We found the dinnerware that Hearst used. Luckily, there was a lot of documentation, as Don was saying. We really buried ourselves in the research and really tried to distill it into telling the story that we needed to tell. And thanks to our prop master, who is amazing, Trish Gallagher Glenn, we really were a team, and we conquered the glassware and dinnerware and silverware after many conversations.
So, for those who don't know, you actually didn't shoot at the real Hearst Castle because you can't film at Hearst Castle. So, Don, talk about recreating that and like where you found the ideal locations and building the set.
Well, actually, it was on stage. Most of it was on stage. And, I sort of knew from the beginning that, replicating it was not going to be an option. It was just, we were trying to emulate it. And we looked at the research and we took away key elements. And quite honestly, I didn't even go up there. I didn't want to see it. I thought it would be too intimidating and overwhelming. So, we just approached it, just because, we were a production that had budgetary restraints and schedule restraints and the usual norms of being below the line and doing our job. And we just sort of approached it and tried to keep it as simple as possible and yet do enough to sort of say, this is, as Jan said, create the essence of it.
Yeah. And another sequence I love is anytime we see the Hollywood backlot, which, you transform 2020 studio lots in Hollywood into 1930. So what was the secret behind that?
Oh boy.
Where
Hiding
we
as much as
being selective on the backlots, actually. I mean, one of the big challenges was that, we're dealing with something that was happened 90 years ago. And you go to the backlots and you first walk them and you think, oh, there's quite a bit here. And then you really start to look and you realize that it's changed so much. So it was about being selective and using restraint and being judicious in how we shot them, and using pieces that were here and there, not trying to overreach.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that insight into Mankin building that gorgeous black and white world. And I will see you both for the group panel